WildTalkRadio.com.
Theme song!
This is the Firefly Funhouse, and I want to introduce you to some very special friends that I met along the way.
Hey, this is Adam Copeland, a.k.a. the Rated R Superstar.
Hey guys, this is Renee Paquette.
This is Kane from WWE.
This is WWE Superstar Drew McIntyre.
Hello, this is WWE Hall of Famer, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Hi, this is Bree, and this is Nikki, and we're the Battle Twins.
This is Christopher Daniels, and what I like to do on my off days is listen to The Rack, and now you are too.
And it is awesome.
Satisfaction is guaranteed.
It's time to experience the award-winning The Rack.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire!
I love kickball.
I'm back, taking souls and digging holes.
I'm gonna break you, bitch, you hear me?
You can look, but you can't touch.
Ruthless aggression.
With your host,
They've been lying to you. Heroes don't exist. Y'all become addicted to the illusion of what a hero does for you. Have I mentioned that I was once addicted to eating sponges?
Lindsey Ward.
Look at me, woman.
And you can just call me Taker.
Oh my God, it's Taker, 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 Taker. Does Taker hate me? Oh my God, it's Taker.
And she was a wicked, wicked child who spat and swore and chewed tobacco.
I like puppets.
Stickers!
And her producer, Sir Rockin.
My little creatures of the night will now experience the magical art of puppetry. If you smell what the game is playing.
Live on the Wild Talk Radio Network.
We're here.
Yowie wowie!
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to The Rack right here on WildTalkRadio.com, brought to you by our friends over at MBG Films. Check them out, youtube.com/MBG1211. And if you're listening to us over on RackRadioshow.com, WildTalkRadio.com, or directly on Twitch, thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. If you're on Twitch and you happen to have a Prime Gaming sub available, well, you can use it here for free for 30 days. All you have to do is hit the little purple button down the bottom of the screen and you can subscribe for free. It is that simple. You can also subscribe the right away, follow the channel, hang out and chat, or listen to the archive. We are happy to have you any way we can get you. I'm your host, Lindsey Ward. Joining me, as always, is the ever-faithful producer / co-host / handyman, Sir Rockin.
We're here. We're live to talk all things WrestleMania Sunday, a.k.a. the night Dwayne didn't decide not to show up. We've learned it's the day Dwayne decided he didn't want to take part in WrestleMania.
Yeah,
or he decided months ago, but everyone thought he would be there. Also, the wrestling night, the night wrestling died, or stuff.
Yeah, something like that.
Tweet us at Wild Talk Radio, at Rack Radio Show. We're called WildTalkRadio.com, RackRadioShow.com, Twitch.tv/WTLive to interact with us live tonight, because we'll talk about it. Because Dwayne sure did.
Oh, he made the internet so mad this week. Oh my god!
It's been a week for Dwayne. I think he would be better not to say anything than he said, but that's okay. It's what it is.
The damage has been done. It can't be undone.
It really can't be undone at this point. He just sort of...
Oh,
yeah. So if you missed our coverage at night one, it's available now at RackRadioShow.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the Rack Radio Show. But yeah, let's talk night two, because things happened on the show. on this night.
On this night of nights, yes, they did in fact happen. And what's nice about talking about it now is that I think both Rock and I have recovered from our respective wrestling hangovers. And we can, more or less. I think you had more of a hangover than I did because I didn't really have anything.
It's been a lot.
It's just so much content to consume. Like, it's so much with just the regular show, and then you tack on Raw and you tack on like all the other events after. It's just like, oh my god, it's so much.
A lot's been happening, yeah, that's for sure. So let's get into it.
All right, so night 2 opened up with the triple threat for the Women's World Championship. You had your reigning and defending champion Io Sky defend against Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. This was a fantastic opener. Like, these women went out there and kicked ass and took names and were not afraid to get their hands dirty in this one.
You ultimately put this in conversation in one of the top 5 best openers to a WrestleMania.
I would not argue with that at all. Like, this was the crowd, and the crowd was like into this. Like, they were loud, they were cheering, they were all about this match because the women were just putting on a show.
You had 3 of the biggest stars in the women's division they got that are peaking in popularity right now. With Io's kind of, you would say, peaking with her popularity, and Rhea's still Rhea, and Bianca was sort of mixed but still very popular. And they went out there and had a classic WrestleMania opener. There was tons of drama, lots of near falls. They tried everything they could to kind of say, hey, follow this. And it was hard for people to follow this because this was a really, really good match.
Like, I could argue that this would have been a absolutely quality main event to the show to close this show.
Yeah, I mean,
if you had flipped Cody and Cena and like this, it would have been a good main event.
It would have been a really good main event. It would have been the main event that sent the crowd home happy. But I think the crowd left happy anyhow. But watch this. I mean,
everybody but one person for sure.
Yeah, you watch this match and this one has replayability, and that's always the key. You can always go back and watch this match. I thought Rhea's work was really well done. I thought the crowd was really behind her. Io stood out tremendously. I liked Bianca's entrance. Yeah, I liked everything about this match, and it was a surprising outcome. I thought Bianca was going to walk away the winner. Shout out to Brent for giving me facts about the match we talked about days later, telling me that Bianca was in fact 4-0, but she also lost the Battle Royal. He got back to us just a couple of days too late. But, it is what it is.
One job. Literally one job.
It's what an intern do.
It is what an intern do. But yeah, this had a really creative finish. You had Bianca going for the pin, and Io comes flying in out of nowhere with a moonsault, scoops Bianca up, and 1, 2, 3. Io is still your champion. She wins in front of like an ecstatic crowd. And I think what I really liked about this match is that all 3 of them were there together. And what I mean by that is you didn't have a lot of like one-on-one situations where it was like Bianca versus Ripley, Bianca versus Io, and so on and so forth, where that third person wasn't necessarily a factor. Like, all 3 of them were right there together, and all 3 of them were working together against each other, if that makes sense. Where they were very smart in how they did this and how they all worked together to be all fighting each other at once and for it to work. Because we had people hitting finishers and then scooping up and somebody else would hit a finisher. And then we had people like throwing punches, and it's like all these different things. I do have to shout out though, like Bianca and Rhea just throwing haymakers at one point in the ring and just like absolutely belting the crap out of each other. And it just looked absolutely sick. But this was a fantastic opener to this show. Io, they said it perfectly, no longer the afterthought. She has proven herself to be a credible champion, not that she wasn't before. But, I think you guys brought this up on Sunday, where it's the reign kind of started clouded in, like doubt, or clouded in like sort of like, not good things, because, Io didn't win the title completely legit legitimately. She didn't win it clean. Bianca helped her there. So this, like, taking down both Bianca and Rhea at once, like, legitimizes Io as a champion, which is fantastic. And it gave her a nice moment. It gave her that WrestleMania moment in front of the crowd and moves her on to her next challengers.
It also set up the fact that she constantly has both women's number. And that's kind of going to stay in the record books. Also, Bianca may have broken a finger or two in the match.
I saw that.
So that's quite unfortunate.
I saw that. Like, I hope she gets better.
But Io Sky's still your champion.
Good. So good on all of them. Congratulations to Io. Moving on, we had the Sin City Street Fight between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I think Drew had one of the video game plugs because there was this weird setup on his entrance, and then he was dressed to match it. So I think it was the game plug.
Yeah, he was Doom. He was Doom, I guess. What it was ultimate. I thought it was Master Chief. I was watching and I went, "Oh, I think that's Master Chief." Because the helmet was in the green, but it was actually Doom. I didn't quite understand what it was because it was just this static pile of stuff sitting there. Like the concept didn't translate very well. But Drew came out. He looked good. He was not wearing pants. And then Priest came out. He was played to the ring by the guitarist for Slayer, which is pretty awesome. Which, by the way, Damian Priest, honey, sweetie, we love you, but you are never gonna beat the bisexual Undertaker allegations now. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's just it. You solidified it here, which is fine. No judgment at all. But yeah, so Priest came out. He was played to the ring by Slayer. I thought this was interesting. You have to correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't like everybody who had a musical act, didn't all of them lose? That's kind of usually the deal.
I was rewatching the show because I didn't get to see the whole show Sunday night. I had to watch like part of it, and then once I'd seen the part that like I missed, I just went ahead and watched the rest of it because why not? And I was watching Damien get played to the ring, and I was like, oh, interesting. Like everybody that had a musical act, they lost. Huh. Okay. Interesting little factoid there, but this was good in terms of Drew versus Damien. Like, I think this had the right amount of heat. Like, I didn't expect this to necessarily be like a barn burner of the match.
No, ultimately Drew got his win over Damien, which he's been trying to for a year. There was no interference. It was all finally Drew being the better man against Damian Priest. It was a good fight.
I feel like it could have been a little bit more intense. I feel like it left you feeling like it was, you get the sense that it was okay, but it didn't leave like that, like, wow, that was brutal, or wow, that was vicious, or there was something to it that was lacking and missing, and I'm not quite sure what it was, because I don't want to say that they should have like hurt each other more, because that sounds really wrong to say, but that's kind of feels like what was missing, because we didn't see, I feel like, anything terribly unusual in terms of weapons. They kind of used tables and chairs, and that was sort of it.
Oh, okay. Speaking of chairs, I get very uncomfortable with the chair around the neck.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Like, there was the one point Damien had a chair around his neck and then did a choke slam with it while it was still around his neck. I don't know, the chair around the neck is very uncomfortable. That's just me. But yeah, it didn't go past a certain point with violence-wise, which is fine. They just wanted to get a little bit of violence in there because a lot of the build-up featured a lot of some violent acts, so they got enough in there to make it work. Drew wins.
Drew had his other selfie moment.
Oh yeah, he had the selfie moment that's taken over Twitter. Yeah, one of the more popular tweets from the weekend. I think the second most popular tweet, which was posted live. It was by, I guess, whoever had his phone, his brother or whoever it was. I don't know, but yeah, went viral
as you want it to. But yeah, as you were saying, in the end, Drew takes down Damien for the win.
What's next?
Up next, this was fun. This was a lot of fun to watch. We had Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and Penta all vying for Braun Breaker's Intercontinental Championship in a fatal four-way. This was, I believe, the announcer said, the first time that the Intercontinental Championship had been defended at WrestleMania in this manner.
Yes.
We had Penta making his WrestleMania debut. We had Dominic Mysterio honoring his family with the Mysterio family mask. Finn Balor came out in a Gimp mask. And Braun Breaker is Braun Breaker. I liked this match. I thought this was fun.
It was the crowd loved Dom. That's the one takeaway from this match. The crowd loved Dom.
The crowd loved Dom, but Braun Breaker just throwing himself at things like a human javelin. Like he just throws his body at people, and it's insane. Like I think he went like it wasn't post to post, but it was like almost across the ring or something like that at somebody. I believe somebody went through the announce table in this match, or maybe that was a Drew match. But somebody went through the announce table in this, and like just the mixture of these four individuals was really nice. Like I thought Penta looked really good in this match. It was a good showing for him. And it was a nice way to protect him because he did not win. But I liked that for each entrance, especially because you had two people debuting at WrestleMania, because Braun wasn't in WrestleMania last year.
No.
You let them savor the moment a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Penta had a long entrance. He took his time getting in the ring, and so did a couple others. But like you let them savor the moment. But the match itself, I thought they all four worked really super well together. And then Dom turning on Finn.
It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. We talked about it. It went exactly as we said.
Like you knew what was going to happen. And just, you love to hate Dom, but Dom's shit-eating grin when he saw Finn laying on the ropes, and he's like, should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? Fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then he goes for like the 619 on Finn, but Finn being that Rye veteran catches Dom in the act, and Dom got stomped for his trouble.
He did, but I liked the match.
But it was interesting.
It was a really good match.
Go ahead. I found it interesting on this that like this match and the women's match almost had the same finish. Just slightly different variation in the fact that Dom hit the frog splash, breaking up the pin to steal the pin, and Io hit a moonsault.
I mean, that's just high flying moves.
It's a good finish. Like it's a really creative, good way for like somebody to pick up the win, especially in the case of Dominic, because he literally stole the victory. Like he literally stole it from, I believe Penta, and he pinned Finn, which, that doesn't create drama. No, not at all.
Nope.
That won't come back to bite him in the ass later. Absolutely not.
Of course not. So, Dom is new Intercontinental Champion. Before we go to the next match, remember when Aaron Rodgers fell in the draft?
Yeah.
All those years ago? It's kind of weird that Sanders is falling in the draft, and there's all the talk about Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback in Pittsburgh. So, and they just said it on television. Exactly what my point. But yeah,
why are they going to take Rodgers?
No, they're not taking. They might not take him, but they've talked to him. It's just coincidental. Like, do they take a quarterback here, or do they play for him or Kirk Cousins next year? That's kind of the rumor.
Don't take Cousins, y'all. Don't do it. Don't take Cousins. He's a very nice man. He's just there. Here's the thing. If Aaron Rodgers would be less of a tool, I could almost be like root for him. But at this point, like especially with his behavior in New York, why would you take him? Why would anybody want to deal with him? Especially like with what happened on his exit with Green Bay and how he acted in New York, where he got pretty much the entire coaching staff fired in New York and they still couldn't win. Like, if I was Pittsburgh, I'd be thinking about that one really hard.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if he was, like, willing to come in and, like, say Pittsburgh took, like, a young quarterback like a Sanders, and they brought Aaron Rodgers in to coach him, or they brought in, like, a Kirk Cousins to coach him, I think that would be cool, because that's absolutely legit. If Rodgers would be willing to do something like that, I don't know if he would be.
No, he won't. He won't. Like, anyway.
So yeah, like, I get the impression with the whole love situation, he wouldn't, but...
Yeah, Sanders did not get picked, so the drop...
Oh, Pittsburgh did... Oh...
The lonely drop will continue of still being at the event. Anyway, what's next?
Up next, we have Logan Paul taking on AJ Styles. Logan's phone got to take a flight around the arena on the drone in his entrance, and then I believe it was on the drone during the match at specific points.
I thought it was just the drone, not like even a phone. I thought it was just the drone.
No, I think he came out with the phone, and then he I think attached it to the drone.
Either way,
because
it was fine. His entrance was okay. It wasn't special. It didn't resonate.
I mean, they did the drone shot, which was cool, but yeah, the multicam, that was the thing overall about this year's WrestleMania was the special entrances and quotations. They weren't anything necessarily to write home about, and I don't know how I feel about that on the whole. I understand budgets and cost and everything like that, and there's only so much you can do, but part of WrestleMania are the entrances, right? Because they're over the top, they're grand, they're ridiculous, and we've all kind of come to expect that, right? So the fact that we had some that were just pretty much just meh, average, it was I don't know how I feel about this.
I would say a lot of it is they learned from past WrestleManias on the West Coast, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, where a lot of entrances don't pop in the daylight, and a lot of the entrances would have been in daylight. So rather than trying to go over the top, they stayed very reserved, which is fine.
Fine, yeah. I mean, they had a beautiful set. Just generally speaking, before we talk about the match, I thought they amped up the cinematography just a little bit. You can see the difference in the production crew from last year's WrestleMania to this year's WrestleMania, and just in how they were shooting it. I feel like they were using better cameras because a lot of it had that sort of almost movie feel to it with the way it was being shot and the way you were seeing it. I think it's the 8K cameras or whatever they are. I think they were using those especially on the intros in the ring. But just some of the angles that they were doing and the longer shots that they were holding and stuff like that, it had a different feel to it, which was nice. Anyway, I would rather talk about that than Logan Paul versus AJ Styles, because
the match was fine. The match
okay.
It was a very passable match. They mixed very well. Nothing really stood out. The match was solid.
I will say, go Logan Paul's little friend that randomly got involved in the match and introduced the brass knucks. Karrion Kross grabbed him and rolled him over to the side, and that man assumed the fetal position, and I don't think he moved until the bell rang.
No. Yeah,
he just curled up in a ball.
Yeah. Logan Paul won. It was what it was. It was a solid match. It was fine. There
wasn't a lot. They had done a build on this, and they have the interference of Karrion Kross going on. And so to me, it's just this felt like this didn't have the heat on it that some of the other rivalries did. Because it did exactly what it was meant to do. It was just supposed to be there, and it's furthering the feud between Styles and Kross. Once Logan Paul is done, he's out of the picture. So this was sort of that bridge to that next step in that other feud.
Pretty much.
But interestingly, it was one of the longest matches on the card. Go figure. Up next, we have Lyra Valkyria.
No. You skipped something in between.
What do you mean I skipped something in between? I didn't skip something in between.
Yes, you did. I'm looking at the results. You skipped something.
What did I skip?
You didn't say his name.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. So before the Logan Paul match, Randy Orton had his open challenge because it's his 20th WrestleMania. He wore his little blue trunks to commemorate his 20th WrestleMania, which was a nice throwback. And Randy comes out and he wants to challenge somebody. Anybody. It doesn't matter who. And what's really funny is when we were talking about this last week, I was sitting here and it's who could challenge Joe Hendry? And in the back of my mind, I was say his name and he will appear. Because Joe Hendry would be perfect. But it's there's no way they're going to do Joe Hendry. There's no way they're going to do that. It's WrestleMania. They're going to find somebody else for Randy, whether it's somebody debuting, somebody returning, it's a one-off. He's going to beat up a celebrity or something. They will find somebody else for Randy Orton. But oh no. No. Say his name and he will appear. Joe Hendry, the TNA champion, walked out onto the grandest stage of them all with a match with Randy Orton on WrestleMania, which I thought was super freaking cool.
It was.
Because they did the full entrance. Hendry got a huge ass pop. People were excited to see him.
Yeah, people were excited. to see Joe Hendry. It was cool. It was a big moment. It was this historical moment to see Joe Hendry in a WWE ring at WrestleMania. He's worked NXT and worked the Royal Rumble. Now he got to work WrestleMania. He kind of had his big moments. There's been a lot of conversation on the internet about this. Did Randy put him over? Yes. Did they squash him? I wouldn't say a squash. Yes. I wouldn't say a squash. But it ultimately was what it was. It was a short little match. It got Randy on the show. It got the arcade moment. It made a WrestleMania moment because people will remember it. And it was fine. Like, sometimes don't think too deep about wrestling.
Here's the thing.
It was what it was. TNA got acknowledged on WrestleMania for the first time in history. Like, just Joe Hendry's fine coming out of it. He was on NXT a couple nights later. He'll be fighting a WWE superstar probably this weekend on TNA's pay-per-view and get a win over them. It is what it is.
Here's the thing about this. In the old days, number one, this never would have happened. He never would have been allowed to appear, especially with the title. He never would have been acknowledged as the TNA champion. But in the rare instance that this could happen, he wouldn't have been given an entrance. Randy would have walked out, RKO'd him a couple times, and left. As it stands, you actually had Hendry have a legit match with Orton, where he was allowed to get in offense. Randy just didn't go out there and kill him.
He got a couple moves in, and it was fine.
He looked
fine. It was a WrestleMania moment, and that's all you needed to know.
I know, but still, and after the match, Randy posed with him. You know, he did put him over. But it's Randy Orton's 20th WrestleMania. You think they're going to have him job out to Joe Hendry? No offense to Joe Hendry. But, like, you really think that they're going to job him out to somebody else from another company on his 20th anniversary? Y'all, come on.
Especially what happened the night after WrestleMania. I'm just...
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But still, Hendry looked good. It was a nice moment for him, and I would not be surprised if Hendry does not come to WWE full time at some point.
If his popularity stays over in a year, yes.
Yeah. I think that's really what they're doing is they're testing specific people to see how they resonate, and then it's okay, all right, let's bring them over, because that's kind of what they did for Jordynne Grace, and then when her contract came out, she came over. So I would not be surprised if they're not doing the same thing for Joe Hendry.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to keep himself over for the next year, and we'll see how it goes.
So, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defended their titles against Lyra Valkyria and a mystery partner. Was supposed to be Bayley, but Bayley got hurt, in quotations, night one, and so she would not be able to compete night two, which left Lyra scrambling, but Lyra was able to find herself a replacement. There was much rejoicing because the man has come back around after many, many months of waiting, wanting, wishing, hoping, praying, listening to internet rumors. Becky Lynch has made her return to WWE as the partner for Lyra, and this was a solid match. This was good. It was entertaining. I like that they brought up the history between Becky and Liv and the fact that the last person to wrestle Becky before she left was Liv. So that was a nice little touch. But in the end, Lyra and Becky took down Liv and Raquel for one night and won the tag team titles.
Yeah, it was the worst kept secret. Everyone knew Becky was going to come back. It was only a matter of time. This was her idea, and then the better match was on Raw because they had a little bit more time. But it got the crowd popped. She was excited. Crowd was excited to see her. And yeah, people were worried, oh, they buried Liv. Well, clearly they didn't. She got her belt back the next night. So,
can we just, y'all, you don't know what, don't say that they buried Liv. She lost.
Internet overreacts.
Again, you don't, burying somebody is you have them to the point that you never see them again. Like, and you have them lose in spectacular fashion. You want to see somebody get buried, go watch old clips of Zack Ryder, okay? This is not Liv getting buried. This is Becky came back. They're not going to have Becky lose on her return. Now, I don't know how I feel about the win on this. Like, it's like, yay, it's happy, but I hate when they do stuff like this where it's a 24-hour turn on the title. Like, I know it's supposed to be competitive, but it felt very rushed. And it feels very weird and indecisive in a way. The fact that you have Becky come back and she was playing the baby face with Lyra and they win the titles and she's like doing the interviews and her daughter's there and everybody's smiling and happy. And then Lyra and Becky lose the next night on Raw and Becky just snaps and she beats the shit out of Lyra and she leaves, right? I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I want to see it play out and see the justification for it, but it just feels very sort of like rushed. But I understand why they turned Becky heel, because you're a little babyface heavy right now, especially with the babyface champion, and you need heels to challenge Io, because I'm sure that's where Becky is going to head.
No, I think she's gonna be in a program with Lyra for a little bit.
Probably, yeah. But after that, she'll probably go for Io if Io is still champion. But or whoever is champion after that.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't know. Like, I just question the decision on it. I'm not necessarily questioning the outcome because we don't know what the outcome is yet, but I'm questioning the decision on the very, very, very start turn, because I feel like it was done for obvious surprise factor, but it doesn't feel like it was executed well.
It was Becky's idea.
I feel like you could have gone another week on it.
But this was, she pitched winning the belts and then dropping it the next night. This was all her plan. So, I have faith.
I mean, I have faith. Like, I respect her plan, but it's, at the same time, I don't know for a storytelling purpose if that's how I would have told that story, because it's not my story to tell, but, like, just to maybe build up to that moment a little bit. Because it's Becky snapping, right? It's Becky snapping. That was the whole thing. That it was like, what the are you okay? Like, she had like a legit tantrum, and you're sitting there watching it, and you're like, are you good? Are you all right? Do you need to like sit down with like a glass of water or something? Like, are you okay?
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out.
And that's my issue.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. We'll just let it see. Quick note about the show. Steve Austin came out and announced the attendance figure and scared the shit out of someone as she got knocked over when he ran his four-wheeler into the barricade.
And Nick Khan has never moved so fast in his life.
He moved so fast to get from his ringside seat over to the other one, to where the girl was at, and make sure, hey, we good? We good? Steve, it's like, okay. But he had an off night with his four-wheeler. But let's talk about the main event, because there's opinions.
Before we get there, I just want to say this. Good on Nick Khan, right? Like, good on Nick Khan for personally going over and checking on her and making sure that she was okay. Because, like, the one thing about that in her whole action is, like, Steve did it. And she, like, yelled at him for it. And Steve checked on her, and then he went and did the thing while Nick was, like, they were resituating the four-wheeler so he could drive it off, but Steve didn't drive it off. And Nick, like, hustled over to check on her, and then Steve checked on her afterwards. So, like, I think I didn't see her necessarily during the Cody match, so I wonder if they took her to the back to get her, like, assessed. She was there.
No, she stayed.
She was there?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe she was just sitting down, but yeah, like, that's one of those moments where it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's like, Steve?
He tried. But let's talk about this main event, because opinions.
You have opinions?
I do.
Okay. In your main event of the show, you had John Cena with his brand new black and white office-inspired entrance. Personally, I love the entrance. I thought it was great. Taking on Cody Rhodes, who had a special entrance with dirt bikes and people doing dirt bike tricks on the stage. I just have to say this. I do, because I understand it's merchandising. And I understand it's his thing, but Cody, honey, can you please stop with the oversized skull helmets? Can you please stop? You look silly. Okay, honey? Like, this one was at least better than last year's, where he didn't look like a toy version of Skeletor, but, like, it was Iron Man inspired, and then, like, the front face opened up. So it was, like, a little bit cooler and a little bit sleeker, but not much, because it looks just a little cartoony because they're, like, plastic.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just, no, honey, no. Because when he walked, it's like, if he had walked out, because I thought about this. I thought about this really hard because I rewatched the entrance. If they'd had him come out on a dirt bike in, like, biker-inspired gear with that helmet, it would have looked really cool. it would have looked correct. But as it stood, he walks out in this like motorcycle / Iron Man style helmet, because the front opened up like the Iron Man helmet. And he's wearing his traditional Homelander wrestling gear with this helmet. And it didn't look right. And he walked out with like no dirt bike. Like, he walked out between the army of dirt bikes. So like, to me, it was like, I don't know, there was something about it that it's like, oh, this could have been way cooler than what it was. And y'all didn't do it. But okay. All right. So these two had a match. They did a thing.
Okay. So
I'm gonna let you go because you have opinions.
I have opinions on this topic. So I like the role John played in this match. Also, number 2, this is supposedly the worst WrestleMania main event of all time.
Wait, worse than Austin and Lesnar?
Austin, Brock, but the Brock and Goldberg, you mean?
Oh, that one. Yes, that one. Sorry.
No. That wasn't also a main event. We watched the Taker before, because I did. That was below this one. There's been a few other Undertaker versus Roman Reigns.
That was pretty bad. Yeah.
But
that was pretty bad.
This was the worst WrestleMania main event of all time. Just ask the internet. That's what they'll tell you. I thought John Cena.
What was bad about it though?
Fiend over. Take 17 minutes to get to the ring. But I thought John worked a slower style because he can't work like he used to.
And they brought that up. Like, they were talking about that on commentary, where they're like, he's not in his prime anymore.
He's not. He can't work the way he did before. But him doing a different take on his moveset and kind of egging on the crowd a little bit, and being very snarky about it, I thought he played his role well. So he worked a different style, and everyone complained about they kind of shit all over Cody, and Cody didn't look really good. The point was that Cody wasn't going to look good in this one. You weren't going to get the big classic. You also weren't getting 15,000 run-ins, which have been a staple of the WrestleMania main events for the last couple of years. So it will ultimately let you down a little bit. There was also the Dwayne factor. Reports came out that Dwayne, we even talked about last week, Dwayne was coming to WrestleMania. You only got Travis Scott to help John Cena and Travis. They could have worked Travis Scott in differently and sort of got him to ringside and not actually have to play his music for 4 minutes for him to walk to the ring.
That was bad. I will give them that one.
So yeah, that kind of was bad. So John won the title, which everyone knew was happening. Yeah. So the whole Dwayne thing, that's where everyone's opinion. So Dwayne came out on the Pat McAfee show and was like, yeah, I came in to boost ticket sales for Chamber, and I told them I wasn't going to be at WrestleMania, and they all knew, but creative, blah, blah, blah. I look at it and I go, could this match use John Cena? The Rock? Yes. But then I look at the whole thing, and when you look at the build, you look at the whole thing, when you look at the whole thing and you build it, they didn't talk about The Rock. He was kind of left out of the entire story, and rightfully so, because he was only part of it for that one little segment back at Elimination Chamber. But it got people's hopes up, and I think that's the biggest part of it, and that's why people are calling it the worst WrestleMania main event. People have their hopes up to see Dwayne, and people are mad that he didn't show up, which begs the question why they should have not included him in the first place, which is ultimately goes up to Triple H and Ari Emanuel and all the top bosses. But here's my thing. Stop. It does, as The Rock would say, it doesn't really matter. John Cena walked out as champion. Dwayne wasn't there. Did it hurt things? Yes. But ultimately, it's not a big deal. At least to me. It wasn't that big of a deal he wasn't there. I don't know. I'm tired of the internet. I'm just tired of the wrestling fan on the internet just complaining about everything. For days, everyone's just been rambling about, oh my god, this and this and this. Oh my god, booking's so bad. And then, but Raw After Mania was great. And then but WrestleMania, this ending sucked. It's just tiring. That's just the main thing. It's just tiring to listen to.
I know. I think for me, was it disappointing that The Rock did not factor into the end of the match? Yes. Did I have my hopes up that he was going to show up? A little bit, but it didn't ruin the finish for me that he wasn't there. I think the interference was acceptable. I like the fact that it took Travis Scott 20 years to get to the ring and that The Rock sent Travis Scott to deal with this. Yeah, it does bother me a little bit just because for me personally, in such a high stakes situation in the story that they were trying to tell, you would think that The Rock would send somebody bigger than Travis Scott, who has no wrestling experience, to help John Cena win a title. But they made the choices that they made and we can't fight it. I think what would have really helped this was if The Rock wasn't going to show up at WrestleMania, fine. He wasn't going to show up. But if you're going to have him be the final boss, right? Like he's the one that John Cena sells his soul to win that title. Is you in this story, you have a series of meetings between Cena and Dwayne, or you have like promos, like the two of them, and you could do this on social, where them kind of sort of like strategizing and planning a little bit, or Dwayne even coming, like a video of them being like caught backstage with Dwayne saying, "Don't worry, I've got your back. I'm going to have somebody in your corner at WrestleMania, right? I'm going to send somebody to make sure that you walk out with that title, that business gets done the way that we want business to get done," right? Like you could have done something like that where it sets up the possibility that Dwayne still could be there, like he could still interfere, because again, and I think it's more the disappointment of the potential of what this could have been versus the actual result. Because again, we talked about this when this first kicked off, right? That it's like, you have Dwayne really as that unstoppable TV force in WWE. And I know that's not necessarily what he signed up to be, but it's like he's the final boss. He's on the board. He would be very, very difficult from a power perspective to take down. And so you have John Cena joining forces with someone like that, where it's, you know what? I want that 17th victory. I want that record. I want this to be about me, which is that's what this whole turn has been about, is now John Cena is doing everything for himself. He's not doing it for the fans anymore. He's like, fuck the fans. I'm doing this for me because I want this for myself. I want my name to be etched in the annals of history, even more so than it already was, because why the fuck not? And so when you're telling that kind of story, you really could have done more with Dwayne, and I think maybe a little bit more runway on that might have helped, but they did have a relatively long amount of time. And Cody and Cena ultimately did a good job with the build. Like they were fine. Like they kept the story focused on the two of them, but Dwayne was always that lingering factor, right? Because in theory, Cena had Dwayne until he didn't. And Dwayne just didn't show up.
Because he ultimately wasn't a part of the story. And that's kind of what the confusion was. He was a catalyst, but not part of the story. Cena didn't sell out to he sold out to The Rock, but ultimately The Rock was more concerned about Cody's situation, and we'll go back to the Cody Soul thing at some point and finish that story at a later point, because he wasn't planning on working Mania, which everyone was made clear months ago he wasn't working. We kind of had that feeling, but every time he would pop back up, it kind of made it feel like he's going to make his way there, but ultimately he didn't, and that was his decision to stay away. And we get that, but you should have at some point made it clear he wasn't. And I think that ultimately was their biggest problem. He just they dangled the carrot and I think a lot of it was internet dangling the carrot. But there was also a T-shirt that said, "Finally, The Rock has come back to Las Vegas in the WWE shop at WWE World." But beyond that, well,
I think he at one point, I want to say he said it. That he was going to be there. But like, again, it's the potential, right? It's the potential of the story. They kind of muddled that a little bit. No, they did muddle it. And that's just incorrect storytelling. And again, all of this could have been solved with a very simple video on social that Dwayne could have put out where he said, you know what? The Rock, he doesn't have time for you. The final boss, he doesn't have time to be there. He's busy doing other things. So I'm going to make sure that somebody watches out for my interests and somebody has John Cena's back. And then he says Travis Scott, and we're all like, what the fuck, Dwayne, are you high? Or are you drinking too much of your own tequila? But, like, still, you could have solved that problem really, 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 really easily. And they opted not to do that, which, you know, hindsight is 20/20, but it's a mistake that they didn't do that. But this was also...
That led to a lot of confusion, and that was the biggest part of it.
Yeah, like, you could have done a lot with this. Like, the build, I didn't find the match disappointing. I didn't find the conclusion disappointing because I got the conclusion that I wanted. And I got the interference that I wanted, which is, I did not want John Cena to get this clean. I did not want him to get this in a victorious, celebratory manner. I wanted this to feel bad. I wanted this to feel dirty and feel like you got cheated out of something, because John Cena, the John Cena that we knew, Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect, is gone. And in his place is the John Cena that we have now. And I think one of my issues with this was they were talking about the record, and they were like basically legitimizing Cena cheating, because they were like, well, you know, Ric Flair, and I'm talking about the announcers, Ric Flair, you know, he won 17s and he didn't win them all, honestly. You know, he was the dirtiest player in the game. It's like, no, don't legitimize it. Don't make it feel okay. This is not supposed to feel okay. Like, we're not supposed to be okay with this. Like, this is supposed to be John Cena's gonna get this, and it's supposed to feel grubby, right? Like, not only is he breaking this historic record, but he's doing it in a dick fashion. We should hate the shit out of this. We should hate the shit out of him. You know what happened when he won? The crowd fucking popped.
That's why they're kind of playing it up. It's because the crowd was 50-50.
They were booing Cody when he came out. They didn't pop for him. They were booing him. They were straight up booing his ass. Like, yeah. And I get it. I get it. It's the WrestleMania crowd. They're a little bit more smarky. They're gonna make their opinion known. But still, it was like,
I don't think it was that. I think, remember, it was about a month ago. We talked about it on this show. There was a Cena
John
promo.
Cena turned him?
He turned them. Yep. Cena's promo cut hard, and he turned the crowd. Also, the Giants traded up for a quarterback, and it is not Sanders.
Ooh.
It was Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart?
Oh, I don't know who that is.
He was Mississippi's quarterback. So there's that. So where Sanders continues to fall in the NFL draft. So, but the crowd turned. Cena turned the crowd, and ultimately that's what they have to deal with going forward. And I know they'll be able to, but that's why the crowd was.
They'll be able to.
That's why Cody was getting booed. Ultimately,
if nothing else, this would be a great catalyst to at some point turn Cody heel, because it's you turned on me. You know, I was supposed to be your hero, and you turned on me. So now I'm going to do it to you. And maybe he even joins forces with John Cena. Who the fuck knows?
No, you keep Cody Baby. Cody Baby will be fine. He'll be good. They'll get behind him again because they have the reason to chase. Even though, like, this ultimately was, Dwayne wanted Cody to be the heel. Cody doesn't want to be the heel yet. So Cena became the heel. And we're getting this story told out, the end of the story. And because The Rock reiterated, Cody will make a great heel someday. And we'll get there. But we're not there yet. And I think when Cody does, Dwayne will finally work again.
Well, you're going to have to do that like the next year or two, because Dwayne's not getting younger, and neither Cody.
No, but that's what Dwayne wants. He wants heel Cody, I think.
Why?
I don't know. It's an obsession of his.
I mean, I respect obsessions, but like the money is in babyface Cody heel Rock, where you have Cody take down the final boss, and like you could even have Cody retire the final boss. Like he retires the Rock. He's the one to do it, and he like takes up that mantle of like the people's champion or whatever. Like there's money there. There's a story there that they could tell.
There is, but egos get into play, and that's where it is.
Oh, I know, but I'm trying to figure out. It's like, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna have like a heel Cody and have a babyface Rock? How are you gonna do that? How are you
say finally the Rock has come back to insert town heel, laying the smack down. If you smell,
I guess
The old try and choose will work.
But he's so much better in this incarnation.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying that's how you get there.
I know, but it's so much better the other way. There's so much more story there. There's substance there. The other side is like, I don't know about that. But I mean, like, ultimately, going back to the main event, it was fine. Was it a blockbuster? Was it a knockdown, drag out? Was it as good as night one? I'm going to say no. I don't think that this match lined up to night one if you want to compare main event to main event. I felt like Atlanta trades back to the first round. Oh, Jesus Christ, who are we going for?
But it wasn't. It was never going to be a 5-star classic. It was also not the worst main event of all time, and that's kind of where people need to stop. It was not the worst. Just calm the down.
It was fine.
Yeah,
it was serviceable. Like that is the nicest thing. Was it the most horrible, dog shit thing I've ever seen? No. It wasn't. But I didn't walk into this thinking this was going to be a 5-star classic. That's the deal. Could it have had more drama? Sure. Could Dwayne have shown up? Sure. Could a lot of different things happen that would have made the story in this better? Absolutely. But I don't think, like, the worst thing about this match was the fact that it took Travis Scott 20 years to get to the fucking ring.
That's what killed it for people, yeah.
Like, that is ultimately what hurts this match. And no offense to Travis Scott. No offense at all to the man. He was just doing his job. But, like, the fact that you had him take his fucking time to get to the ring, and you just sort of had Cody and Cena chilling until he got to the ring, I think is what just absolutely killed this for pretty much everybody, because it's like it took you out of the moment. But in terms of like it having shenanigans, I was fine with the shenanigans. I called for it when we previewed the show. I wanted the shenanigans. I wanted the interference. I wanted like Dwayne to come out and restart the match if Cody won, because the fix is in. That was the whole point of this match. That was the whole story of this match, was the fucking fix was in. And Cody had to stop it. And he couldn't do it. Because between the power of LOL Cena wins and Travis Scott, Cena got the job done. And that's the story of this match. That's what was happening. But I mean, like, wrestling-wise, it was fine. That's the night. Like, I don't necessarily remember any, like, highlights of the match. It's not going to stand out in memory as being, like, a barn burner. Like I said, you could have swapped this with the women, and the women could have been a far better main event. I'll give you that one. But, like, I thought, like, overall, in terms of the show, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was completely fine.
It was a very serviceable main event. You trimmed 2 minutes out of his entrance, and it was even better because what happened was good. It just took a while to get there. But
yeah, like
ultimately, ultimately, when Travis Scott and John Cena team up in the next few months, people are gonna have a fun time with that too. So get ready.
I'm willing to give it a chance. I just don't know. Like, Travis Scott has a high, like, bar to live up to with some of the past, like, celebrities that they've had wrestle.
Yeah, and with Cena not being able to work that much, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to say this to everyone. Low expectations for Cena's matches, because they're not going to be great.
Okay, I'm just going to say this. Cena's matches have never been what I would term great.
No, but you had a lot more smoke and mirrors where he moved better. They're not. He's just.
Yes.
It's gonna be a lot slower. That's more the point. It's gonna be a lot slower paced matches with Cena going forward. So the Randy Orton and John Cena classic coming up at Backlash with chin locks and side headlocks. You're gonna get the best of Randy.
I wish.
And Cena.
I'm kind of mad because I wish that had more time for a build.
I got 3 weeks.
Because I feel like I know, but like them building to that. Because I just want Randy, and maybe they can get it done in 1 or 2 promos, but I want Randy to walk out and look at John and be like, the fuck is wrong with you? Did you get dropped on your head too hard? Like, what is this bullshit? Mm-hmm. Like, I just want that so hard, just for Randy, because it's 0 fucks Cena versus 0 fucks Orton, and Orton's just gonna look at Cena and be like, bitch, please, what the fuck is this? What are we doing here? Why?
Yeah.
Why are you like this? That's what I want. We traded up to get an edge.
An edge rusher, defensive end, yeah. I mean, that's good. You need them. You need pass rushers.
Is that a bedazzled fucking football?
I don't know. I have pigeons.
I'm in the NFL Draft Center. There's a bedazzled football. Anyway, that's what I want for like the Cena Orton build. I'm looking forward to that because there's so much history there that I feel like it will be better. And then you can kind of begin to rebuild Cody a little bit, and you can have Cody off to the side, and you can have him figure out what to do next. And also maybe give Cody just a little bit of a break. Because I'm sure your guy needs a vacation just to sort of like take a breath because he's been doing like press nonstop for a year. Yeah. So, maybe he needs just a little bit of like a break and a vacation and just to like have a minute to breathe from all of it before he chases again. But I think this will be good. I think it'll be fine. Like in the annals of WrestleMania on the whole, I don't think 41 is going to be an S tier.
No, it's not B.
I would say it's like a B. And sometimes you need those. Like I think the overall feeling of walking away from the show is that ultimately it was entertaining.
So overall,
we got to see a lot of.
You had moments and title changes, which is what you want for WrestleMania, and celebrity. It gave you everything. It just was missing a little oomph.
It was missing a little oomph. I think what it also did was it helped to put over the right people. And what I mean by that is you saw Io get a victory. You saw Dominic get a victory. You saw Tiffany get a victory. You saw younger Jacob Fatu. You saw younger talent that is up and coming get put over on this show and potentially get put on the map, which is what this really should be, because we're seeing who WWE is putting their eye on, and we're seeing who they're going to build the company around in the future, right? Because stars like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, John Cena, Charlotte Flair, Becky, the list goes on and on and on. Eventually that talent is going to start to phase out. It's already begun to happen where we see some of that talent becoming part-time. They're featured attractions. They're not there all the time. So they need people to hold down the ship and while they're gone. And so we saw who WWE is really putting that responsibility on to carry the brand while those bigger names are gone. And that's important to take into account for this show, is they did that instead of like relying, because like the main thing that people bitch about WrestleMania is you have the old timers come back and the younger talent doesn't get put over. That is not what happened on this show.
Yeah.
I don't think it happened once.
I mean, besides Cena.
I don't count Cena and Cody. I don't count that. Cody was champion for a year. I can't count that. But you didn't have LOL Charlotte wins. You had Jacob Fatu pick up a victory. You had the list goes on and on and on and on in terms of people that got put over and people that got put on the map. You had great showings for stars like Penta that were on the show that got to show their stuff. They did a lot to help boost that next group of talent that they're planning on carrying the brand with. And that's important too.
Yeah.
So, but we move on from WrestleMania and we go to Backlash.
Indeed.
In 3 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
But I think that does it for us.
It does. So, Saturday night, 11:30 p.m. Eastern. There's another edition of CB Radio. Sunday, it's WTR Sunday Wrestle Talk Radio, 10 p.m. Eastern. Monday, it's the Raw Post Show. Right after Raw, we'll talk things Monday Night Raw, whenever the show ends. We'll be back next Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, to give you all the news that we've missed the last 2 weeks. And there's some news. We'll talk all about it next week on the Rack at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's Rack Radio Show on all social media platforms, wherever you get your podcasts, to search the Rack Radio Show. It's at Wild Talk Radio, Facebook.com/Wild Talk Radio Network. Chat, if you have Amazon Prime, link it to your Twitch account. It's called Prime Gaming. Support channel by clicking the purple rectangular button below the screen. You saw the WrestleMania main eventers when you use creator code ROCKETSOCK or Lindsey Ward for an item shop, because John Cena, Cody Rhodes were in the item shop. The Undertaker was. Bianca and Becky Lynch were in there too, because, reasons. And you can buy Star Wars next week. So, lightsabers for everybody.
Star Wars.
You can use those codes because we are
#Epic Partners. You can follow me on most of the social medias at Lindsey Ward LNSWD. You can check me out on Twitch next week on Twitch. Anaxa is coming out. I will be rolling. Listen to me come scream and cry and pray to the gotcha gods that they are kind to me to get that miserable asshole. But we'll see if I can get him in the polls that I have and not have to spend money. Knock wood, everybody pray. But anyway, that is next week on the stream. So twitch.tv/LindsWard. You can follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/@LindsWard. And you can follow me on TikTok, LindsWard0. And while you're liking and subscribing and following and doing all the things, you can head over to our match channel, MBG Films, youtube.com/MBG1211. Give him a like, subscribe, follow, tell him we said hi. And just that he does awesome content, because he does awesome work. So for Rock, I'm Lindsey Ward. You've been listening to Rock right here on WildTalkRadio.com. And we will see you next week. Bye.
So for now, Mark Breck is living life for wealth.
Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise where I'm shining now. You can't see me, my time is now. Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise where I'm shining now.
WildTalkRadio.com.